Now I want to begin to animate this piece. First thing I want to animate is this logo, and it is already a movie clip because when we imported it we chose that option, so that's pretty handy. So there's no need for us to create this in or turn this into a symbol because it was already brought in as a symbol. If it hadn't, you would need to make it into a symbol. Brought it in on its own layer. So those requirements for animation has to be on its own layer by itself, should be a symbol. Those are covered, so pretty much ready to start. So the first thing I'll need are some frames. So I'm just going to choose frame 20 or so and press F5 on my keyboard, and that'll give me some frames. And I believe I want this to come in at about frame 15. Before I do that, I'll need to create a motion tween here. So I'm going to click anywhere on this layer and control click or right click and choose create motion tween. I can also do that up here, insert motion tween. So it's turned blue. So this particular animation I want to give the appearance that this logo is growing from small to big. So what I want to do is go to the beginning of the animation and choose the logo, and in my transform palette, it's Apple T, or I can just click this little icon here. I'm going to change this from 100% to about 20% on both the width and the height. I'm also going to change its alpha. So not only can you change size, scale, X, Y, you can also animate its degree of opacity, its degree of color. So that's under color effect on the property palette. So if I click the object and I choose color effect in the property palette, I'm going to go down and choose alpha. And I'm going to take this down to about 10%. I rarely go to 0% because it's much easier to see and work with, and no one can tell that it's actually 10% rather than 0%. Alright, click that object, and now I'm just going to move my playhead to frame 15 and then change it back. So click the object, go up to alpha, change it to 100, and notice that the keyframe has shown up here. And I'm going to change my width and height back to a 100%. So if I click that constrain button, if I change one, it's going to change both of them. And if I go ahead and test that, it's going small to big and from about 10% to 100% alpha. The next thing I'm going to animate is this toucan photo. Since it is a movie clip, you can certainly animate it. It doesn't need to be drawn. It can be imported as a you can import a photograph and animate that just as you would something that you've drawn in Flash. We brought it in as a movie clip, so it's sitting there as a movie clip in the library. It's on its own layer by itself, so it's ready to go. Alright, I want this to start moving in immediately, and I want it to reach its end position at about frame 100. So I'm going to choose frame 100, and I can choose one layer at a time and press F5, or I can click, hold, and drag from the top or bottom, and that'll allow me to select all of them. So that logo is animating in, so now it's time for the toucan to animate in. Click in between the two frames and choose Control, Create Motion Tween. Now this is where I want it to end up. So a trick that we can do is we can mark the end position by clicking on the end of that and pressing F6. And notice there's a little keyframe marker there. So that's marking that in position. Now I'm just going to move this toucan kind of diagonally so it can slowly move into that finished position, kind of Ken Burns style. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to test that, see how that looks. Looks pretty good. So now what I want to do is I want it to kind of fade in from black. So I'm going to tween something called Tint, which is essentially applying color to the top of a movie clip or on top of a movie clip. So I'm going to click that object. Now it's very important to click what you want to change. If I click the stage, the property bar turns to stage elements. So I need to click the element itself. And under the color effect, last time we used alpha, I'm going to use tint this time. And I'm going to tint it black at 100%. So that's something I'm going to change. So it's black for now. Now I'm going to scroll my playhead to frame 15 and click the object again, and then just change the tint from 100% to 0%. And as you can see now, it's fading in from black. Test that. So now it has a nice little fade in from black.